Welcome back to the show, my friends. I'm your host, Eric Szilagyi. If you've had an uncomfortable experience and you'd like to have it shared here on the show, please get a hold of me at contact.uncomfortable@gmail.com. The world wants to hear your cryptid and your UFO experiences. I want to hear your experiences, so reach out to me and let's get yours on the next episode of Uncomfortable. If you haven't yet, make sure to like us on Facebook and Instagram, both at Uncomfortable Podcast 65. And once you get a chance to listen to an episode or two, please make sure to leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you can. That alone is the most important thing you can do as a listener to help get this show out in front of more people. And with more people listening, that means more great experiences coming your way. If video is more your thing, then make sure to subscribe to Uncomfortable Podcast on YouTube, where you can get the video version of most shows. If that's where you like to listen to us, please make sure to click like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you're notified with each and every new release. Take a minute and check out the Uncomfortable link tree. It's the single best place you can find anything and everything uncomfortable all in one spot. The link for that is down below in the show notes. Put a lot of work into this show for you tonight. I'm going to cover a topic that has been something that has resonated with me for a very, very long time in the topic of ufology. So, if you're ready, let's get into it. So when I started digging into this script that I wanted to write about this event, a lot of interesting stuff. It's all over the place. As far as the event itself, the things that transpired, what's known historically, what's been reported, what's been photographed, all the things. But what I didn't realize is the connection that I have to this event, specifically the date. The date of this event was February 24th on into the 25th of 1942. And interestingly enough, it didn't dawn on me until earlier today as I was finalizing my notes. That was actually my mom's birthday. So, kind of a neat little correlation there. Not that it has anything to do with the event, but the date. So, what is this event I'm talking about? By the date, you may have guessed it. It's the event known as the Battle of Los Angeles. The event known as Battle of Los Angeles has become one of the most endearing and debated episodes in UFO lore, occurring in the early hours of February 24th through the 25th, 1942, just months after the attack on Pearl Harbor. This incident saw a massive anti-aircraft barrage and an almost frantic military response to an unidentified object in the skies over Los Angeles. In the midst of wartime hysteria, the event was quickly dismissed by military officials as a false alarm, attributing the incident to war nerves or misidentification of weather balloons. However, decades later, a growing body of research, testimonies from eyewitnesses, and inconsistencies in the official narrative have led many UFO researchers to question whether an actual unidentified aerial object was involved, and whether a deliberate cover-up was enacted to possibly hide the truth from the public. Let's give you some historical context. It was a wartime atmosphere in 1942. The United States was still reeling from the shock of Pearl Harbor. and the country was on high alert for further acts of aggression from enemy forces. This was a time when fear and uncertainty permeated the nation. Civil defense measures, blackout orders, and air raid drills were common as military prepared for potential attacks on American soil. Against this backdrop of anxiety, any unusual phenomenon in the sky were liable to provoke an immediate and intense military response. And that's just what happened. The attack on Pearl Harbor had ignited national crisis, and every shadow in the sky was a potential threat. Military installations, airfields, and even urban centers like Los Angeles were expected to be ready to counter any act of sabotage or enemy incursion. Radar technology at the time was still in its early stages of development, and communication among different military branches was often fragmented. This sometimes led to misinterpretations and false alarms, as new systems struggled to differentiate between the friendly and hostile objects. Even before the Battle of Los Angeles, there was sporadic reports of unidentified aerial phenomenon. These early sightings often went uninvestigated or were explained away by conventional means. However, the intense military focus during wartime meant that any ambiguous object in the sky could quickly escalate to a full-scale defense response. In many ways, the incident set a precedent for the future of UFO encounters in which rapid military mobilization and subsequent secrecy would become recurring themes. On the night of February 24th, 1942, air raid sirens sounded across Los Angeles, signaling that the city was on high alert. According to various accounts, civilians and military personnel alike were unsettled by mysterious lights observed in the sky. As darkness fell, blackout orders were strictly enforced. Streetlights were dimmed, and residents were urged to remain indoors, creating an eerie sense of atmosphere across the city. Both amateur skywatchers and professional military personnel reported seeing an unidentified object, or possibly a formation of objects, that did not conform to any known aircraft profiles at the time. As the night progressed, the sense of alarm intensified. Military installations scrambled to identify the object, with searchlights scanning the skies for any sign of an enemy craft. Reports began to circulate among military personnel that something unusual was hovering over the city. Early radar readings were ambiguous, adding to the uncertainty. The nascent state of radar technology meant that the signals could not be immediately correlated with any known enemy or friendly craft. The witnesses described the object as large and oddly maneuverable, sometimes appearing to defy the laws of conventional flight. These descriptions would later become a focal point for UFO researchers who believed that the conventional explanations were insufficient. In the early hours of February 25th, a barrage of anti-aircraft fire was unleashed. Military forces fired over 1,400 shells into the night sky in an attempt to neutralize what was believed to be a hostile aerial vehicle. The sheer volume of shells created an intense display of military might, which, despite the barrage, resulted in no confirmed enemy casualties or downed aircraft. Numerous searchlights converged on a particular area in the sky. Some photographic evidence, pictured right here in my studio. By dawn, the barrage had ceased. In the immediate aftermath, the city was left in a state of confusion and disbelief, and the only casualties reported were indirectly related to the blackout, including a couple of traffic accidents and stress-induced heart attacks. Despite an exhaustive search, no physical evidence of any enemy craft was ever recovered. The absence of debris or clear visual confirmation further muddied the official narrative. Initially, military officials attributed the incident to a case of war nerves or a misinterpretation of a weather balloon, or even natural phenomenon of a cloud. The narrative was that intense atmosphere of wartime, overzealous defense measures, had led to a false alarm. A number of eyewitness accounts have emerged over the decades, some of which were recorded shortly after the incident. These testimonies offer striking details that are difficult to reconcile with the official narrative of mere false alarm. Many residents of Los Angeles recall a large, unidentifiable object in the sky. Some described the object as disc-shaped, while others claimed it had a hovering, almost ethereal quality that was unlike any known aircraft. Several service members involved in the incident later reported that the object displayed maneuvers that defied capabilities of contemporary military technology. There are accounts of pilots and ground-based radar operators alike expressing disbelief at what they had witnessed. In addition to personal testimonies, several contemporary reports lend a degree of credibility to the UFO hypothesis. Newspapers such as the Los Angeles Times provided detailed accounts of the barrage and the ensuing confusion. Some articles included photographs that captured these searchlights converging on an unexplained object. Though the images were later subject to skepticism, they remain a powerful piece of the puzzle for UFO enthusiasts. Declassified military documents and internal memos from this period show a level of ambiguity in the official narrative. Some documents hint that higher-ranking officials were not entirely satisfied with the explanations given to the public, although these records were heavily redacted. The 37th Coast Artillery Regiment, which was tasked with defending Los Angeles at the time, has been the subject of much scrutiny. Members of this unit have reported that they were ordered to open fire on an object that did not match any known enemy aircraft. Some after-action reports indicate that the object's movements were erratic and uncharacteristic of conventional aircraft. These reports have been cited by researchers who believe that the incident might have involved an object of unknown origin. Over the years, former personnel have come forward with statements that contradict the sanitized version of events issued by the military officials. These discrepancies have fueled suspicions that certain details were deliberately suppressed. In the immediate wake of the incident, government officials were quick to downplay any suggestion that the event might have been linked to any extraterrestrial presence. Officials initially described the incident as an overreaction, a result of war nerves in a highly tense period. The narrative was that no enemy aircraft had been present, and that the barrage was simply a misinterpretation of natural phenomenon, weather balloons, clouds. The government was keen to reassure the public that there was no immediate threat and that the incident was an isolated case of mistaken identity. This message was critical to maintaining the morale during the period when the nation was already on edge. In the decades following the incident, a series of declassified documents have offered a glimpse behind the curtain of official explanations. While these documents do not explicitly confirm the presence of an extraterrestrial craft, they do reveal inconsistencies and uncertainties. Some internal memos reveal that not all radar operators or officers were convinced by the weather balloon explanation. These documents often noted that unusual radar echoes and unexplained movements in the sky could not be easily reconciled with conventional aircraft. Portions of key documents were heavily redacted, prompting speculation that the sensitive details, possibly about an unknown technology, were being intentionally concealed. Critics argue that such redactions could indicate an effort to hide evidence of an encounter with a non-human craft. In some cases, these officials alluded to the possibility that the incident was not entirely explained by conventional methods, although they stopped short of making any definitive claims. The incident also came under scrutiny of journalists and eventually members of Congress. In subsequent years, a number of hearings and investigative reports examined the events, with some questions remaining unanswered. The Los Angeles Times and other publications revisited the story multiple times over the decades. Some investigative reports highlighted discrepancies between eyewitness accounts and the official explanations, while others noted that the rapid military mobilization that seemed disproportionate to that threat. During periods of renewed interest in UFO phenomenon, especially in the wake of later events such as the Roswell incident, congressional hearings have occasionally referenced the Battle of Los Angeles. While these hearings never resulted in definitive answers, they did add legitimacy to the idea that the government's explanation was not entirely correct. Following the end of World War II, UFO sightings began to increase in both frequency and prominence. The Battle of Los Angeles became a seminal event for UFO researchers who saw it as evidence that military encounters with unidentified objects were not confined to the realm of science fiction. The incident has since been a touchstone in UFO lore. Researchers like Stanton Friedman and others have cited it as an example of how military encounters with UFOs might have been deliberately mispresented. In the years since the event, historians and researchers have re-examined the available evidence, sometimes finding that the original explanations did not adequately address all of the anomalies. This reevaluation has helped solidify the incident's status as one of the most mysterious and debated UFO events in American history. In recent decades, technological advancements have allowed researchers to reanalyze historical data with modern tools. These new techniques have offered fresh insights into the Battle of Los Angeles. Modern image processing techniques have been applied to the archived photographs from the event. While some skeptics dismiss these as artifacts of the technology of the day, proponents argue that certain features in these images, such as the shape and motion of the illuminated object, are inconsistent with known military hardware at the time. Although the original radar data is limited by the technology of the early 1940s, modern analysts have attempted to reconstruct the events using simulation software. Some simulations suggest that the radar echoes observed could correspond to an object with unconventional flight characteristics, fueling further speculation that the craft was not of human origin. Over the years, several researchers have conducted interviews with surviving eyewitnesses and military personnel who were present during the incident. These interviews have provided a wealth of first-hand information that often contradicts the official narrative. Many of these individuals insist that they witnessed behaviors that could not be attributed to conventional aircraft, such as abrupt changes in direction and hovering that defied gravity. Several independent studies have also lent credence to the idea that something extraordinary occurred over Los Angeles that night. While mainstream academia has been largely skeptical of UFO claims, a handful of peer-reviewed studies have re-examined the incident within the context of radar anomalies and human factors during the high-stress level event. These studies often conclude that while no conclusive evidence of extraterrestrial technology was found, the data does not fully rule out the possibility. Some declassified studies conducted under government contracts have acknowledged that the incident remains one of the more perplexing events in military history. Although these studies stopped short of confirming a UFO, they admitted that there were anomalous aspects that conventional explanations did not satisfactorily address. One of the most compelling arguments for a UFO presence during the Battle of Los Angeles is the reported flight behavior. Eyewitness accounts and military records describe maneuvers that were unusual, even for the advanced technology of the day. Several witnesses reported that the object made sudden, sharp turns and appeared to hover motionless before darting away at high speeds. Such maneuvers are inconsistent with the capabilities of conventional aircraft, or weather balloons, or even a cloud. There are accounts suggesting that the object accelerated and decelerated in ways that defied known aerodynamics. Military personnel, including radar operators, were reportedly baffled by the inconsistent readings and the erratic movement patterns. Some descriptions indicate that the object was seen both at high altitudes and then suddenly close to the ground. This rapid vertical movement, without any visible means of propulsion, has been cited as evidence of advanced or non-conventional technologies. While early radar systems were rudimentary compared to modern standards, the data recorded on that night still contains several puzzling anomalies. Radar operators noted that there were multiple returns on their screens, suggesting that there could have been more than one object in the vicinity. This has led some researchers to propose that there may have been a formation of objects, or perhaps a single object capable of splitting its radar signature. The strength and consistency of the radar returns did not match those typically associated with weather phenomenon or standard aircraft. Some researchers argue that the irregular signals might have been produced by an object that was either cloaked or possessed an unconventional structure. There were reports of radar signals that appeared for only brief moments, only to vanish and then reappear unpredictably. This intermittency has been interpreted as indicative of technology that is beyond capabilities of known human engineering at the time. While the photographic evidence from the night of the incident is limited by the technology available in the 1940s, several images have been re-examined over the years by UFO researchers. Some photos taken by local newspapers, particularly the Los Angeles Times, show searchlights converging on what appears to be a large unidentified object in the sky. Although critics argue these images are inconclusive and could be interpreted as flares or reflections, the clarity and the unusual positioning of the object continue to be points of contention. In some frames, there appear to be silhouettes or shapes that cannot be readily identified as parts of a conventional aircraft. These ambiguous images have been used by proponents of the UFO hypothesis as indirect evidence of an unknown technology. One of the enduring arguments in favor of a UFO explanation is the discrepancy between the reported capabilities of the unidentified object and the known technology of the. Even at the time, some members of the military expressed skepticism about the official explanation. They noted that the object's flight characteristics did not match those of any known enemy aircraft, which were already under close watch during World War II. Decades later, some former service members recounted their recollections, suggesting that the object exhibited behaviors that could not be replicated by conventional tech. These statements, while anecdotal, add weight to the argument that something truly unusual occurred that. One of the most persistent points of controversy surrounding the Battle of Los Angeles is the presence of conflicting reports, both from eyewitnesses and within the official documents. These contradictions have led many to suspect that the true nature of this incident was deliberately obscured. The initial public explanation was that the incident was a result of war-induced hysteria. However, many eyewitnesses insist that what they saw did not resemble any conventional aircraft or weather balloon, suggesting that the official narrative was overly simplistic. While some witnesses reported seeing a single unidentified object, others described multiple objects in formation. The inconsistency in these accounts have fueled suspicions that key details were altered or omitted in the official reports. Critics argue that the massive scale of the anti-aircraft barrage, with over 1,400 shells fired, is disproportionate to any perceived threat from a weather balloon. This raises the question of whether the military was prepared for a threat they could not fully explain. The subsequent decades have seen gradual unveiling of previously classified documents, many of which contain redactions that hint at a more complex story than was publicly acknowledged. Researchers have pointed out that some of the files related to the incident remain partially redacted even decades later. The missing information has led to speculation that details about the unidentified object and possible origins were deliberately concealed. There are records suggesting that some military officers privately questioned the official explanation. These dissenting opinions, although never fully acknowledged in public, have been cited by UFO researchers as evidence that a cover-up may have been in play. The theory of a cover-up is bolstered by the fact that the incident was quickly rebranded as a false alarm without the comprehensive public inquiry. The rapid dismissal of eyewitness reports combined with the subsequent redaction of key documents points to the possibility that the government may have had access to information it chose not to disclose. In the years following the incident, investigative journalists and independent researchers have continuously revisited the Battle of Los Angeles, often uncovering details that contradict the official record. Articles published in the decades after the event have highlighted anomalies that the military explanation failed to address. Some reports have drawn parallels between the Los Angeles event and later UFO incidents. Although the academic community has largely remained cautious about endorsing UFO claims, several studies have noted that the lack of concrete evidence in the official narrative does not necessarily rule out the possibility of an unidentified phenomenon. Instead, these studies argue that the incident remains one of the more perplexing cases in military history. Independent interviews with surviving eyewitnesses have sometimes produced accounts that differ markedly from the sanitized version of events provided by the government. For example, several ex-military personnel have described an object that appeared to possess a luminous quality and maneuvered in ways that would have been impossible for any conventional aircraft at the time. The Battle of Los Angeles did not occur in isolation. Subsequent UFO encounters, most notably the Roswell incident in 1947, has cast a long shadow over the earlier event, prompting researchers to draw connections between them. Many UFO enthusiasts view the Los Angeles incident as a precursor to later, more well-documented UFO encounters. The similarities in eyewitness descriptions, the rapid military responses, and the eventual downplaying of the event suggest a pattern that could indicate a systematic effort to conceal extraterrestrial encounters. Projects such as Project Blue Book and earlier classification studies on unidentified aerial phenomenon have occasionally alluded to the possibility that some sightings might be linked to non-human technology. Although these programs never confirmed an extraterrestrial origin, the language used in some of the documents has been interpreted by researchers as tacit acknowledgement of. Although these programs never confirmed an extraterrestrial origin, the language used in some of these documents has been interpreted by researchers as tacit acknowledgement of unexplained aerial activity. By drawing together the historical facts, eyewitness testimonies, and official documents, several compelling points suggest that the Battle of Los Angeles may have involved a UFO. The object or objects reportedly displayed maneuvers such as hovering, rapid acceleration, and abrupt directional changes that are not consistent with known conventional technology. Despite the limitations of early radar systems, the inconsistent and intermittent signals recorded during the incident remain unexplained by standard phenomena. Although subject to interpretation, the photographs capturing searchlights converging on an unidentified object offer visual hints that something unusual was indeed present. The official narrative, which quickly attributed the incident to war nerves and weather balloons or clouds, fails to account for many of the observed phenomena and the scale of the military response. When viewed alongside later incidents such as Roswell, the Battle of Los Angeles fits into a broader pattern of UFO encounters that were similarly minimized or dismissed by authorities. In parallel with the evidence that supports UFO involvement, several factors suggest that the true nature of the incident may have been deliberately obscured. The presence of heavily redacted documents related to the incident raises questions about what information the government was unwilling to share with the public. The discrepancies between various accounts, particularly between civilian witnesses and military personnel, suggest that some details may have been altered or omitted in the official narrative. The quick pivot from a significant military engagement to a narrative of mere war nerves is seen by many as an attempt to quell public curiosity and prevent further investigation. Reports of dissent among military officers and radar operators hint at a scenario in which those with first-hand knowledge may have been pressured to conform to the official story. The parallels between the Battle of Los Angeles and other UFO encounters, where similar cover-ups have been alleged, reinforce the idea that the incident may be part of a broader pattern of governmental secrecy regarding unidentified aerial phenomenon. The legacy of the Battle of Los Angeles extends far beyond the immediate events of February 1942. It has become an iconic reference point in UFO culture and has influenced both public perception and the conduct of later investigations into unidentified aerial phenomenon. The dramatic imagery and the mystery surrounding the incident have inspired countless books, documentaries, and even movies. This cultural imprint ensures that the story remains in the public eye, fueling both scientific curiosity. The incident has contributed to ongoing debates about the extent to which governments might hide information about UFOs. For many, the redactions and the contradictory reports from Los Angeles serve as evidence that something extraordinary occurred, and that subsequent cover-ups have become the norm in handling such sensitive topics. The enduring questions raised by the event have spurred decades of research. UFO organizations, independent investigators, and even some academics have revisited the case, seeking to piece together a more complete picture from a jumble of conflicting accounts and incomplete records. For historians, military analysts, and UFO researchers alike, the Battle of Los Angeles offers several important lessons. The incident underscores how stress and fear during wartime can lead to misinterpretation of natural or man-made phenomena. The state of radar and photographic technology in 1942 was far from perfect. This technological limitation complicates modern efforts to reinterpret historical data, but also highlights how future advancements might eventually shed new light on old mysteries. The controversy over redacted documents from this period serve as a cautionary tale. Greater transparency in the government record-keeping could help dispel myths and provide clearer understanding of events that still impact public disclosure today. The Battle of Los Angeles remains a topic of active research. As more documents become declassified, and as historians apply modern analytical techniques to archival material, it is possible that new insights will emerge. Future research may benefit from an interdisciplinary approach that brings together experts in military history, atmospheric science, and aerospace technology. Such collaborations could help develop a more nuanced understanding of the event. With continued improvements in image and signal processing, researchers may be able to reanalyze the limited visual and radar data from the incident. New techniques in digital reconstruction might reveal details that were previously overlooked. Similar incidents have been reported in other parts of the world. By comparing the Los Angeles event with other documented UFO encounters internationally, researchers may begin to identify common patterns that transcend national borders, pointing to a phenomenon that is not easily explained by military or atmospheric conditions alone. The Battle of Los Angeles remains one of the most enigmatic and debated events in UFO lore. Historical facts paint a picture of a city on edge during wartime, where every unexplained light or shadow in the sky could have been interpreted as a potential enemy threat. The military's response was swift and massive, yet it resulted in no confirmed enemy aircraft or wreckage, only confusion, conflicting eyewitness reports, and an official narrative that many find unsatisfactory. Eyewitness accounts from both civilians and military personnel frequently describe an object that defied conventional expectation, exhibiting flight characteristics and behaviors that continue to raise questions. And the persistent redactions in the historical record, the case for a deliberate cover-up gains traction. The quick dismissal of this event as a mere product of war nerves appears increasingly as a convenient explanation to quell the public concern, especially when the evidence suggests that something out of the ordinary might have been encountered. While definitive proof of extraterrestrial involvement remains elusive, the collection of anomalies, inconsistencies, and contradicting statements make a strong case that the incident was not as straightforward as the official line suggests. Undoubtedly, the Battle of Los Angeles will continue to captivate the public imagination and fuel debate among UFO researchers. The incident invites us to ask different questions. What if the truth was deliberately hidden? What if our understanding of technology, both then and now, is incomplete? And most importantly, what implications does it have for our understanding of the cosmos and our place within it? Ultimately, whether you view the Battle of Los Angeles as a case of wartime overreaction or as evidence of an encounter with an advanced unidentified craft, the event remains a pivotal moment in the history of UFO phenomenon. As new information continues to emerge, as researchers refine their methods, the full story of that fateful night in 1942 may yet reveal secrets that have been hidden in plain sight for over 80 years. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Until next time, my friends, stay uncomfortable.